Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This will be part two, test after repairs. I will just show you pictures of the repairs. Very simple, removing the stepper motors. I will walk you through a little bit on how is to remove the board out of this cluster. Um, the rest, no matter what, you're going to find parts pretty much, and they're very expensive. Just the stepper motors are like I think it's over $80 per stepper motor. Unless you buy in really bulk, you can lower the price like I did, and hope in hopes that people will send me more and more clusters, and I can recover the investment and make some profit as any business will. All right, by going back into the repair, as you can see, I'm always using this automotive universal test platform that I got from Wakesy. It's really convenient because it has one, two, three, four, six, seven connections. It comes only with two harnesses, but I mean, these are just the 25 ED connector, and you can create your own. So very convenient because in the back of the actual test box is the wire diagram, so you know which pins are each, so you can, tag as they did in here, each of the lines. So I got interrupted. Okay, so what I was saying is, as they tag in here, these are very nice tags. I like the way they, you can now by color, and they should all manufacturers do that. Red, I mean, black grounds, red powers, yellow ignition, orange. This also acts like accessories because these has three different powers: BT1, BT2, and BT3. So by there, all like they say, this is a power coming from an ignition is a BT2. So you know that this power will not come on unless you switch the switch on. So is the red ones and the orange ones. The orange one is on BT3, so if that switch is not on, it's not going to be powered on. And then you got kind of high, and then kind of high, kind of low, and all the pins for the OBD connector because it has the OBD2 connector. So as long as you connect everything that is necessary for communication on a computer, you will be able to read fault codes and everything as I show in some other videos. Um, Signals that I'm using. Fuel gauge and coolant temperature are going in through a decade box that I have from this company, EDFM. It's really good. A little bit of an expensive side, but very good. This box has not just only resistance, but capacitance, and you can combine them as well, which sometimes you're going to have to provide a resistance and a capacitor signal for an IC. This box can do it. So that's why at the end it's not expensive because it's well made. And as you see, I provided 70 ohms resistance for both of the gauges. And the reason I use a setup amount of resistance is because it's a repetition. If you are used to repetitive measurements, you know that temperature needs to go up to half, and then fuel tank has to go into a quarter. If they don't do that, now you know that you have a stepper motor with an issue. Same thing is with the speed. You guys noticed that on the first video when I started the first test on this one, and the speed was an 80 miles an hour, and I was only at 13. Was 14 hertz. So I'm going to bring it down to 14 hertz, and we're going to expect to have around 10 miles an hour on that range. Again, this is not a super precise measurement, but if I'm here and I'm not 30 or 40, then I know that I'm somewhere good. As far as the bulbs, let me show you. This is the actual pictures of the disassemble. And I always do that with every single repair. If you send something to repair with me, you will have photos of your components being removed, a test before, and a post-repair test video. Like that, there is no confusion that the repair and everything was done professionally. All right, so this is, again, just a removal of the boards with all the stepper motors still in place. I'm just showing the back of the board with some water signs, and that's all cleaned up after repairs. This is again just the back, and this is just a bolt test that I always do after replacement of the bolts in here. I want to make sure that all the bolts are working 100%, and then I send it back to the customer. And this is for the customer to see that this is his actual board with now everything removed. All solderings, all cleans, everything is good to go. And then just assemble, which again is just soldering. The rest of the information you already saw. So let me, without more further talking, let me turn the ignition on. And this is what you want to expect to see, lights and all the needles resting in zero. That means my adjustments are good. And these separate motors are pretty easy. You can, like in the GM, so I'll just come back to zero. I will leave now the prindle. And now you can see that now those gauges are reading. And that didn't happen until I set up the ignition on. And this is the way also to turn it on. I can adjust turn it off, because if I don't go into the correct sequence, those needles will not stop in the correct place. And this is what happens to these clusters. It loses power from a voltage regulator, and then needles, if you're like, giving, you're driving 60 miles an hour with whatever temperature and whatever readings and RPMs and so on, and it loses one of the ignitions, now the needles are not going to come back to rest position. Then when you start again, it goes up to like whatever, right? So, and I'm going to show you that if I turn the power off, you see this, we still got ignition. You see what I mean? Now the needles are not where they're supposed to. I mean, if all powers and everything comes back to normal, they will reset again, and that's what, he was doing by removing the battery and connecting it back. See, if I do this, the needles should come back to rest position, and then you can set up ignition and then all the powers. All right, so I'm going to now set up the RPM signal, and you see it's going to 10, almost precisely 10 miles an hour, and that is with 14 hertz. And this is the test that I usually do. I can just go up. This knob on the simulator is a little slow to provide a speed, but as you can see, it's going nice and smooth, and that's what I'm doing it on purpose. The reason I created that knob, I can remove that knob as much as, as many times I want. I did it to make sure the stepper motor goes back and forth softly. All right, so I can keep it in there normal, and I can change also those readings on here now that I know that everything is correct. See, now I'm making that gauge goes the opposite way. If I go back to 70, that should go up again, and it is going very smooth. I'm just changing the reading so that I can go actually now higher. As you can see, it's reacting perfectly to my commands, and that's exactly what I want. So, all right, so this is the test that I do after a repair and make sure that everything is working 100%. As you can see, all is good. So John, this is your instrument cluster. It's ready to go. I will call you pretty soon to um, do the payment and then get it shipped as soon as possible to you. Thank you so much, guys, to visiting the channel. I know this is a very short video, but I also want to share that it can be done. In removing again the stepper motors, the tools that I use are usually my trusty Haco. This is the solder removal. I think this is the FR301. Yeah, FR301. This is the FM 203 Saturn station. I like this one. I mean, not just like it, I love it because it has dual, so you can use tweezers in either side, or you can use just irons. I got many, many tips for them. Haco is a very, very good company. As far as the air station, I do have the Haco air station right there. It's a little on the too strong side, and I use it too when I need to remove microprocessors or so. I got a third arm that I can use both of the air stations. For the rest of my work, I'd rather use the JBC that you see here. This one is really, really nice, very precise. You can change the settings a lot easier than Hackle. Hackle, I don't know what they put. So hard to change your settings. Like in this one, they actually have a key that if it removes, you cannot do any changes on the settings. So I keep that in a box because right here, let me show it to you. You need to have this. It's not that it's like a very special key. You can do this with any plastic and then just put it on. But I mean, why you need to have this? I mean, so complicated. And to do the changes on the settings is a nightmare. You need to go to hardware almost to do the changes, but once you have it set as you would like, I don't change anything on that. But the air hot air station, you want to change air and temperatures often because that's something that you cannot have it set as in the iron. You know, in the iron you can just remove and it's pretty easy. But when you're removing a component, you need to have a precise correction of airflow and temperature. And with a hot coil is a nightmare. Again, thank you so much. This is just to show you what I use on the lab to do this kind of repairs, but everything is going good. Again, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, share my videos on thumbs up. That really helps the channel. It helps me. I'm really, humble and thankful from all you guys that subscribe to my channel and like all my content. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.